singing was beautiful.
I know.
To Tucson again.
And
this time we're in Goose.
Yeah.
So we're gonna...
We have air conditioning. We have windows that fully close.
We can talk to each other and hear each other.
We have a stereo. What else do we have? Cruise control.
There's many amenities that we have. But we kind of still miss Tonto. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree.
But we're going to do some work. The reason we're bringing the 80 is because we're going to do some work. We're going to add a bunch of different things, so we'll see what we end up getting done. But thinking sub tank.
Go for it. Yeah.
Sub tank.
Oh yeah. What else we got?
Mount for our propane tank. Okay. You brought a little trash can. I saw to probably weld up. I'm guessing.
So we'll see what we get done. I always bring more projects down than I think I'll do. Because you get to a part on a project like the sub tank, we're going to try and make a gas tank underneath where the spare tire sits, 10 or 15 gallons. I've measured out a bunch of different ways, and really I want to get about 15 out of it, but we could get that half done and realize we don't have some part, or we don't have some fitting or something, and I need another project to work on so as not to waste the time down here at my buddy Brent's house, who's got all the nice toys to fabricate. So we come down here and do a ton of different projects over the years, and I just want to have plenty of options. So we can weld up a gas can, trash can, which is essentially an old jerry can that's rusted out, no longer good for fuel. You cut the top off, put a hinge on it, put a compression latch, and now you've got a storage device. So right now we have a 4x4 Labs rear bumper, and it holds 3 jerry cans. And it's also made to hold a cooler, and so the top of it's much wider than it needs to be, so the fuel cans bounce around in there a little bit when you're off-roading. So I want to go ahead and cut it and take out an inch or two and tighten that up so the fuel can's sitting there nice and snugly and don't rock around and get beat up too much. And we can make a mount for our 10-pound propane tank, and we can do a fuel cell. So we'll get one of those, maybe 2 done.
And then we'll eat some Sonoran hot dogs too.
Yep, Sonoran hot dogs, Beyond Bread, EG's. I think that's about it. That's the Tucson list of things you must eat when in Tucson.
Delicious.
And look we're passing Picacho Peak, which you see in every video, just about, if we're headed to Tucson on the 10 anyways.
There it is. That is Picacho Peak.
The westernmost site of a Civil War battle took place, I think it was just on the backside of Picacho Peak. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty neat. Civil War battle out here in the desert.
And we can hike it. I've never hiked it, but sometime I would like to hike it. Have you hiked it?
No, I have not. We'll do it.
Someday.
I've off-roaded to the backside. There's a monument to the Civil War battle.
I've not been there either.
I guess I gotta take you a little bit.
The next morning, we headed to Brent's house to see what we could get done.
Long reach to go through, I guess.
After we had Goose up on the lift, we could figure out where to put the tank and calculate measurements. We ended up with a tank that would hold about 18 gallons, which we were happy with.
But it's going to be so reliable, right? Drive cross country. So back in the day, that 4Runner I had, the bumper, I would take a piece of cardboard, scan it in on that scanner.
Oh, this?
Yeah. And then the shape would show up here, but you couldn't fit the whole thing, so you'd scan in pieces of cardboard, scan them in, put them together, trim off all the mistake stuff, and then cut it out on here, tack weld it in place, and then because I had no idea what I was doing. There's invariably a million little corrections,
Yeah.
and then Brent would do the good welding. And yeah, that whole bumper was just out of thin air.
Is this picture when the car lost the tire, or is it?
Yeah. That was when we got back
Yeah,
to
that's
500.
That's Michael Young's car that we destroyed for him. Well, he destroyed it. We got it to the finish with parts still falling off from his crash. But yeah, that was the car for
About 9 miles.
oh, okay.
Because we had passed the 10 mile to go mark
And then the wheel fell off.
right then, yeah.
And then
then
you
we-
rode on the back.
And then I rode over the engine. And then we went through a couple river crossings where we were sure it was going to dig in and stop us. And then I just got tired of riding over the engine, so he's like, oh fuck it, just get back in. Because I was keeping the front end in the air. And then when I got back in the seat, it just went into plow form. And we just cut a line all the way down and then hit pavement in Ensenada. And then crossed the line with just sparks everywhere. With Sal Fish going, nice guys. Nice, glad you finished. But he was just like, I gotta pay for that road.
So that computer program controls the big machine out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so like when Brent put it on there, there's that little corner piece, and that sort of locates it.
Mm-hmm.
So now the computer sort of knows where the metal is. That way, too, because if you're trying to make something, you don't want to waste a bunch of metal. So
Yeah.
that way you can lay it out on there, so you use every little bit with as little waste on the edges as you can.
It's your gas tank.
That's it. You can carry 7 to 10 drops on top of it. No limit. Whereas spot, I think, works really good in North America, but people have said the closer you get to the poles. Got a little space.
Just
Okay.
Oh, you know how those big turbo diesels are.
Hear 'em a mile away. Flip it in the back.
No. It'll get stuck.
Oh yeah, now part of it.
I know this from experience.
You gotta do it once, I guess. Hopefully just
How do I
once.
get that out of there? That's all right.
You get it.
I can make it happen.
Beauty.
Brent is an amazing welder, so he did the welding of the gas tank, since it's kind of important. He got the sides and interior pieces welded with the MIG welder, and then it was time to put on the top. Brent was about halfway through this when his TIG welder ran out of gas. Guess what isn't open on the weekend in Tucson? A welding supply store. So we were out of luck. To keep the project moving, we decided to test fit the tank on the truck, and we could get the mounts in place and do everything we could without that dang gas.
No, it's too shabby. See, Moen?
Yeah, I don't even think you're dragging on the rocks too bad.
Not too much. I guess I could weld a little piece out here as my indicator wear bar.
You go up about a half an inch now. At least on this side. There you go.
Got me in.
Now how do you get fuel?
What? Right here.
So while I explain this next part, here is some pretty drone footage to look at. We got the mounts welded onto the tank, all the while trying to figure out where to put the filler neck. With it being tucked up under the truck so tight, it was hard to find a good spot that was high enough to allow us to fill the tank completely. We have some ideas, but haven't yet decided which option we want to go with, so if you have any good suggestions, let us know. Next, we moved on to fixing the rear swing out that holds our gas cans. Tim cut and welded this to fit our scepter cans snugly. No more rocking around. By this time, the shop was a buzz of activity. We were tired and ended the night sitting around watching others finish their projects with a beer in hand. Brent's shop is a good place to hang out. So we're taking the wash somewhere? Is that the plan?
Yeah, we're gonna take this wash. Sand's getting kind of deep, so we'll probably have to use 4-wheel drive here. Worst case, we can always air it down. But right now, we're just 2-wheel drive high, but you can hear, if you can, I don't know, you can hear the engine working fairly hard. Big mining area here, so there's a lot of tracks cutting all over the place. Otherwise, though, I'm noticing that there's no tracks since last time we were here in the 40 about 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks. Not that long
So it
ago.
rained and wiped our tracks out, and there aren't any new ones, so it's kind of cool.
So we just stopped to eat a sandwich and take a little break from driving back. Even though it's not a long drive, it's nice to do it leisurely. Tim's peeing.
May or may not.
I think he's peeing.
Not our spare tire, what's the word? Heel cut